No need to get riled, boys. We're just passing by. Actually, they never found the body. Seamstresses? Rayet Saris. Woden Talej. Died 18 Majaverno, 2808. Third Battle of Cleaban Relog. Blazing Glanfather names, I swear. I'll be the effigy. He fought for Rayet Saris. Why'd he fight for Rayet Saris? We gotta go there. That battlefield. The one I said. I don't know how else I'm gonna make sense of all this. I gotta see what he saw. And who knows, maybe his spirit will even be there and you can have one of your weird talks with him. I mean, worth trying, right? I know. I appreciate that. I wish I could say you won't regret it, but you certainly might. Maybe we should come back later? I haven't been in here for, must be 5-6 years. Used to be real nice. Bright. Warm. It was nice to see those candles still burning. I figured they'd have gone out by now. You know, it's strange looking back. All the time I spent here growing up. Never seeing what was coming. The candles are still burning. Not bad for a dead god. They made him strong enough to survive time, but not thoughtlessness, looks like. Redemption. They got this whole right for when you come of age. They take you by the hand and you descend through the temple with your eyes covered, and that's supposed to be like a wicked life. They don't tell you where you're going. I was sweating like crazy when I did mine. Remind me never to help kill my god again. How can that be? If there's no gods, how is any of this possible? They take you to that reflecting pool back there, and you're allowed to look at it so you can face your sins. Then, you come out into this room, and they uncover your eyes again, and everyone's there to greet you, all your friends and family. It's like you've been redeemed. You light your candle, and it burns with the others. Never had a feeling better than that my whole life. But that's not... That can't be right. Aethys, he's done miracles for people. She's not serious. He was good at serving his god, I give him that. But he should have picked a better one. Some point, you have to look at the things your god is telling you to do. And ask yourself if it's worth it. Your spies are good. What gave me away? The cape? We were being invaded. Not by anyone who was acting like a god. Well, they made cake. And I think you can expect folks to get jumpy when the gods aren't there to reassure them. Maybe if they weren't all too busy trying to kill each other. You might want to skip over this one, Theos. Don't want to pick a fight you can't win. They made cake. Hard to blame people for losing faith when it's the gods who are misbehaving. They gave me one. It didn't last, but what does? I grew up in Gilded Vale. Nope. You had it right. Did that once. My case was an accident, and I still wake up some nights feeling bad for him. I used to smoke that a few years back. Loved the flavor, but got tired of smelling like it. Long as I don't need to be anywhere for a couple days. Thought that was the point. The one that blew up my god. We got along how brothers do. He used to throw water on me to wake me up in the morning. I used to fill his boots with stinging ants. Funny thing about Dear Woodens. With all that fire and light, they just treated him like another authority figure. Brothers can be funny. I bet you'd be surprised how far they'd go. You get to a certain point and you realize you got two options. You can go mad with grief and tear out all your hair and check yourself into the sanitarium, or you can wait for better days. No, not these days. Parents left the country years back during the purges. I think about him a lot. Dunno. Guess that all depends. Close can mean a lot of things. We'd better grab a couple pints before you get me going on that one. Seems like that's all they've been doing of late. The slaughter seems to come whether there's a god involved or not. If it wasn't a god justifying it, it'd be some other thing. The dozens. Pretty sure you won't find one among them who stood within 100 miles of that bridge when the god hammer went off. Too bad, too. Said there'd be less of them. Strange place for a shrine to Abidan, Crucible Keep. Maybe it made more sense at some point before it gathered all that dust. And the only thing the Knights of the Crucible worship these days is the nobility, as far as I understand it. Say what you want about Dear Woodens, but they haven't met the problem yet that they couldn't solve by killing some scapegoats. Well, doesn't that just beat all? Here I was, wondering all this time whether all these terrible things were people's fault or the gods. Turns out they might be the same thing. Wonder how things would have gone different 15 years ago if the Raid Sarens had been told their god was made in some forge or kiln someplace. Would we still have gone to war? And I could see the rebellion still happening, but I don't know that they would have invaded. When Woden left for war, we, had a fight. As brothers will. About him going off to war. He was set on it. But my parents warned him. They said you get a new country with every trip across the border, but your God, you only get the one. Now, me, I didn't know who was right. All I knew was I didn't want him to go. It's the same for families as it is for gods. You only get the one. I said every vicious thing I could think of, trying to change his mind. He brushed it off. Just got me madder, of course, him being so calm. He said I should come with him, but he'd understand if I didn't want to. I told him he'd better be able to face his God one day and answer for what he'd done. He said he'd keep that in mind. And then he was gone. By the time I'd cooled off, months had passed. One morning it dawns on me that my brother always knew better than me. If he was so sure of what he was doing, then I should be there with him. I packed my things and was on the road that same morning. Of course, what I didn't know then was he'd already changed his mind. By that time, he was dead on that field. Crossed my mind. You live in a place like Gilded Vale, you don't have a whole lot else to do other than think about things you don't want to think about. I hope that wasn't it. I hope he went there because it's what he thought was right. But it seems I'm not meant to know. If I'd have left with him, we'd both be dead, so I don't know why I bother thinking about it. He asked me to trust him the day he left. Said if I went with him, he'd make sure we were on the right path. And he deserved that. He deserved that trust from me. I found my own way in the end, and it wasn't my brother's and it wasn't my God's. I don't know if it was right. But I couldn't abide what Wydwin was doing to his own. God or not, I don't regret it. Whether Wydwin was Eothas, well, it hardly seems to matter after what we just heard. And all these questions I've been trying to figure out. I think I just miss my brother. Still one more mess we gotta straighten out. Come on then. I still owe you one. Raid Saris is a long way to walk on your own. I think I'd have liked to have been there with him on that journey. Even knowing how it ended. Theos, he had hold of your soul from a long time back, seems like. You get what you needed from him? Well, those can be hard to come by. But maybe that's best. Forces you to find your own footing. Not many can say that these days. Not with the gods using the world to settle their problems. Feels good, doesn't it? Got enough to worry about as it is. More than most can say. Country's still full of people who are dangerous when they're scared. Those can be hard to come by. I feel for people still looking for theirs. Easy to see what it means to them to have someone to look to for answers. Not many can say that these days. Not in this country where they think the gods have abandoned them. You'll be feeling better soon then. Good. That's real good. You got it figured out what you're going to do about all that? Got a lot of people out there thinking they've been abandoned by their gods. There's not much that'll put the fear in you more than that. You can take my word for it. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd send every last one of those souls right back where they were supposed to go in the first place. So folks could get back to believing what they used to. If it was in my power, and I know it's not, but if it was, I'd find a way to give them the courage to face it. Not because they think there's some god looking out for them, but because they've just got it in them. And after what you've been through, though, I'm sure you got your own ideas. Better make it good. I don't know. Sagani, does your fox bite? Can I pet him anyway? I'm gonna pet him. Turning purple. I'd have to cut it off. If I'm not supposed to pet him, why is he so soft? Hey, Aloth, can I, talk to your, your friend? No, you're both great. It's just, well, I feel like I don't get to spend as much time with her, and she's just so funny. I mean, some of the things she says. Next time I get the chance, I'm buying you a pint. Oh, do you want one too? Sorry, I meant for Isilmir. I'll get you one too. Hey, pig! Hey, pig! Woo-hoo, pig! Haha, look at him with his little tail. Who's a good boy? Who needs his belly scratched? Hey, you think we could get another dog? Keep this one company? Just a thought. Here, kitty. Come on, I want to pet you. So those feathers, That's a blessing of Helia? Well, that's lucky. Where I'm from, we see a feathered lady, we start worrying maybe her dad got frisky with his hens. You work for the Dukes of the Valian Republics, huh? Must be nice always knowing who you're supposed to serve. Been a pleasant surprise traveling with you, Haravius. My part of the country has a saying about Orlans. Face of skin, let 'em in. Face of hair, best beware. But you're more like a skin-faced Orlan. Wait, was that bad? I meant it as a compliment. Hey, I'm sorry about what I said before. About the skin-faced Orlans. I didn't know I was saying something bad. Now that we're friends again, is it okay if I pet you? What's on your mind? Oh, other than the war, I never strayed too far from where you found me. Farming, mostly. I was never much for cities. Never learned a trade. They did. It was strange timing, because we just won the war. They celebrated when I came home. There was music and dancing. Trumbull used half his grain making this big honey cake. I still dream about that cake. Like having the best lover of your life, but only for one night. And they were all sorry to hear about my brother. I'm sure my parents are still wondering the same thing. The Aothasian purges were like this madness had come over the town, like a disease. Seems like when you see something like that, your instinct is to wait for it to pass, even when you know it probably won't. Woden was, about everything you'd want your firstborn son to be. Dutiful, honest, put thought into everything he did. Real pain in my ass. Made me look bad about every way he could. It wasn't something he tried to do, but of course that just makes it worse, and makes two of us. If you're looking to find religion, maybe you want to start with a god that hasn't been burned to dust, but I won't stop you. In my way. I don't suppose he expects me to show up at his temple these days. Not much left to do for him other than keep his memory alive and keep hoping that he's just been playing a joke on all of us these past 15 years. Raised that way. My family's been Aothasian going way back. Suppose it wasn't much of a choice at first. Don't know for sure why my family started worshipping him. Probably because of Gon looking after folks like us. Was his actions. I mean, not when he started his rebellion, and not even when he took over Raed Saris. It was when he sent his armies into Deerwood. In my younger days, I thought I was going to go preach the word of Aethys, just in our temple there. My parents encouraged it. I made so much trouble for them growing up, they used to say it'd be best if I got in good with the God of Redemption. Of course, us blowing him up probably didn't help my chances there. But if anybody'd forgive you for blowing him up, it'd be Aethys. Took a while for word of the purges to reach us. Aothasians being murdered in the streets, Cold Morn and the like. No way would they let something like that happen in Gilded Vale. That's what they all said. Caught me by surprise after all the celebrating. Should have seen it coming after the tailor said he was going to fit me for some new clothes, but then all he wanted was my neck measurement. But the weeks went by and the purges spread. Pretty soon they weren't so sure my brother fought for Deerwood. Then they weren't so sure I did. The family whose farm I worked on, they had a little Hollowborn girl. And they heard the Animancers had this cure, the Salvation it was called. They went running. This Salvation, they were putting animal souls in children. You might have heard about it. Giving them enough personality to care for themselves. Well, you can guess how that turned out. Matter of time, the children broke down. Became wild things. Monsters. Anyway, these farmers put the family dog's soul in their little girl. For a while, the girl, she's making eye contact, she's feeding herself, albeit in a kinda messy way. And one day she snaps. They found her gnawing on her brother's bones. Had to chain her up, put her in a cow pen. He was just waiting for his daughter to look up one day and recognize her papa. He was waiting for her to get better. Didn't understand that at the time, of course, but these days I think about him a lot. Well, the mother, she wouldn't have anything to do with the girl after that. But the father, he'd visit every day, feed her chickens, toss water on her once in a while to get the dirt off. Most of the village, they'd whisper about him. Poor man, they'd say, sick with grief. My parents, they always let us be who we were. Never told me to be more like him or anything like that. Which was good, because I was never gonna. Not that he didn't get into trouble himself. He was just better about feeling guilty after. We used to have this farmer near us, Hereward. Couldn't stop talking about how well he cared for his chickens, how their feathers were the whitest in town. Convinced the butcher to pay him double what the other farmers got. Me and Woden got tired of hearing it. I was maybe 11, 12 at the time. We borrowed about 6 different dyes from the dyer one night. Dyed Hereward's chickens every color but white. Next morning, the butcher comes knocking asking for 6 of his whitest chickens. We were feeling great, up until Hereward saw what we'd done. He just got on his knees and cried right there, all those colorful chickens around him not knowing what to make of it. I thought it served him right, but I could tell Woden had other thoughts. Sure enough, the next day, every one of those chickens had been scrubbed down. They weren't white, mind you, but Woden sure tried. Never said a word to me about it, but I knew. That was Woden. Aethys, he was a young man with a silver crown. Carried a candle around with him. Sounds like I'm giving a bad eulogy here. There was something I genuinely liked about Aethys. Always. Like he understood people better than the other gods. Knew all our flaws and weaknesses and accepted us for that. Folks are at their worst when they're afraid. A god like Aethys, he made you realize there was nothing to fear. Made you a better person. Of course, he goes away for a few years, and look what happens. You sure you don't want to talk about something more pleasant? Like the War of Black Trees or the Legacy or something? Nah, not that last part. But you had to think about it. Says a lot about the place I've been calling home all these years. 17 and a half. 17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman. The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta. The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted anyway. Name's Edér. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved. I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first. Careful, friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense. The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war. We blew him up. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Radric's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing. Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the Legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. All right then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. Long as you're not the one picking the sights. Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say watcher with a hush on your breath. Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger. And a strange one at that. But truth be told, You might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree. Were you looking for someone in that tree? I could introduce you. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before. That old watcher. I don't know what I expected, but it sure wasn't that. Nah, it's kind of embarrassing now. I just got a dumb idea in my head is all. Don't know why I thought it'd work. That's funny. That's probably the first thing I got my hopes up for in, I don't know, years. At least I got that out of it. All right, guess fair is fair, and you did bring me to see him. Those rumors back in Gilded Vale about my brother, Woden, about how he'd turned against us and fought for Widewin, been on my mind for some time now. Of course, I knew the truth deep down. The Watcher's not psychic. I think I just had this idea, and the idea made me feel a certain way, and I didn't want to lose that. I thought, maybe this old Watcher would know how my brother died, so I could see if it was true. Like he could, I don't know, read it in my soul or something. Use our connection. Told you it was dumb. The thing about Woden was, he always knew what was right, and that's what he'd do. One day he set out to fight for Deerwood against a man claiming to be our god. So I knew that's what I had to do too. It was right. But hearing claims that he died fighting for Edér, that got me worried. Not that he'd chosen the wrong side, but that I had. Didn't seem right what Widewin had in store, but if he really was Aethys, you've done a lot for me already, but if you could see fit to pay that archive a visit with me, well, you know. Knowing my luck, the records clerk will go crazy and try to kill me. I'd feel better with you in there with me. This is the place. My big brother's last battle. I wish I could tell you what we're looking for. Anything from that battle, I guess. Whatever 15 years of rain has him buried. You see my brother's ghost, you give me a holler, all right? Hey, something metal in the ground. Over by that boat. Not much here. I think I see... Nope. Never mind. Nothing over here. I guess they cleaned up real good after the battle. This is embarrassing. Too recent. They were right. That was short work. I've seen these before. They topped the standards of Edér. Or did when Widewin was alive. Well, it's something. Just not sure what it gets me. Anything? Looked like you were working real hard there. What'd he talk about with Widewin? I figured that. Woden and me had heard enough stories from his uprising to know it wasn't just some tall tale. Doesn't mean he was Aethys. It could have been some wizard's trick. It's what they talked about that's important. What'd they say? No. That doesn't make sense. He had no reason to take Widewin at his word. What happened there? What'd he really say? That's not funny. Come on. That metal sun, my brother touched it. You saw where he went. Now what'd he talk about with Widewin? Why'd my brother fight for Edér? I guess that's it. I don't think we will. What would we do? Look for more war relics? We were lucky to find this one. Soldiers that fought with him are long dead. The battle was a massacre. Whatever Aethys knows, he's not talking to anyone. It's a funny thing. You can tell yourself that 100 different ways. Makes no difference in the end. Hope I didn't seem ungrateful back there on the battlefield. And you went out of your way. Got real close. Didn't expect that. For a second, I thought I was gonna finally see some answers. Foolish, of course. And why should I get answers? There's a world of Aethasians out there, don't know if their god's been blown up. Still, man can't help looking back. He'd tell me to trust him. Of course, it'd be a lot easier if I knew it was mine. But, maybe I don't need to. His actions didn't seem righteous enough for a god. That's why me and Woden had Widewin figured for a pretender. It didn't occur to me that my god might actually mean to do harm to his own. And a lot of things be better if he'd won, I think. The purges never would have happened. Gilded Vale'd be... different. The trees look better, I know that much. My family might even still be there. Maybe there'd be no legacy. You'd have dear Woodens lining up to surrender if they'd known what was in store. Guess if I'll never know any better, I may as well pick something I feel good about. The best part of worshipping a dead god is there's no punishments. Something to think about, I guess. Guess you'd know that well as anyone. I might have turned my back on my god when he needed me. That's all I'll ever know. Yeah! Verathus! Leave it to me! Might need some help here. Hey, we had some good times. Over there. I know when I'm beat. Trouble up ahead. Not to alarm you, but I'm slowly dying of poison. This thing isn't doing the job. Would you look at that? That's not nice. Keeping an eye out. Shh. Of course. You give me any more gifts and people will start thinking you're playing favorites. All done. Hey, I could go for some shut-eye about now. This is great and all, but I think I'd be having more fun swinging from that tree back home. See you when I see you. Can we talk? They got Sagani. Did it just get quieter? Damn it! We gotta take better care of Aloth. Rest up, big guy. We've got your back. Come on, Pelagina, hang in there. Hate seeing the little guy go down. We're losing, folks. Not good. Keep it together. Well, this could have gone better. Sagani! Pelagina! Never thought I'd see it. At least we don't have to listen to him anymore. Gonna miss you, big fella. I should have been there, Aloth. Poor little guy. Blackbones of Aethys! Damn it! Wish I could have done something. We gotta be more careful. Huh. Well, what do you know about that? Isn't that something? I'll see you at the keep. I'll be at the inn. Probably in hiding. You're not getting through me! Hey, huh? What do you say we go grab a drink after this? Oh, come on, not like this! This is why you were traveling alone. You kinda like your attention, don't you? I'm starting to miss my neighbors. Laying low. Hey, do you mind? Watch it with that. Whose side are you on? Well, well. Hope you're not expecting much. You're kinda stuck over here. Auluthen. Moethixianoth. Lava Rubion Sik. Brithuligna. Athek Worthunroth. Join arms. Attack! I bring your end. Krefta Fila Firlim. Quethe Silmes Mitu. Werde Bildana Saul. Croacten. Sacritur. Ixmaru. All right, then. Nah, that wasn't it. Zawa! Oh, come on! On your feet, Zawa. You've been through worse. The metal lady's broken. We lost our devil. On your feet, Maneha. You've had worse. Maneha! Oh, damn it! Hey. Hey. You awake? Good. You were kind of thrashing around, eyes rolled back in your head. You were shaking. Trying to snap you out of it for a long time now. Thought I was gonna have to get a bucket of cold water. You don't seem like you get much rest at night. You got those dark circles under your eyes. Well, it's the Watcher thing, then. I'm sure it just takes some time to adjust is all. I'll try to let it sort itself out. But you'd better wake up faster next time. Trust me, you don't want that bucket of cold water. You say so. But you'd better wake up faster next time. Trust me, you don't want that bucket of cold water. Hey! Hey! You gotta stop it with that. It's just about punched you to snap you out of it. You were saying things, but they weren't any words I ever heard. You were shaking so hard I thought you'd crack your spine. Yeah, so I noticed. I'd have woken you sooner, but I thought it'd be nice for you to be able to close your eyes a bit. Folks don't last long without sleep. You're twitchy these days. Reminds me of Meyerwald more than I'd like. Anything I can do, you just let me know. We're close on this one. Hang on a little longer. We'll get you fixed up. Well, it's nice to feel needed. I'd have woke you sooner, but I thought it'd be nice for you to be able to close your eyes a bit. Folks don't last long without sleep. But now's not the time to be shy about it. This thing, it's getting a grip on you now. You're gonna need all the help you can get. Seems real friendly. Place is getting too nice. You start having fancy dinner parties, and I don't know if we can still be friends. Nothing like this in Gilded Vale. Just Wallaruna the milkmaid. She knew what she was doing. I feel sorry for whoever has to clean up this place. Everyone all right? No shattered knees? Good. Just me, then. Oh, the smell around here reminds me of this stable hand, Drutmund. Not real popular with the women, Drutmund. It used to be a lot less of a mess. You ever feel underdressed? They probably got one dug for me, too. Hope they gave me a nice spot. I tried to pet a Stelgar once. Similar outcome. Do you think he'd be mad if we sat in his chair? I mean, he doesn't have to know. Reminds me of home, this place. Can you do that again? I had something in my eye. I missed most of it. That over there? That'd be the easy way to get to Defiance Bay. Before the floods, anyway. Someone's a mess eater. When you get to the bottom, holler up here. Let me know if it's safe. Wouldn't mind having a word with our esteemed lord while we're here. Got some suggestions for him. Right. What's the plan again? I can't see much, but I hear a noise like a pig choking on wet feed. So, I guess Durrance is breathing at least. Never been out this way before. Hard to believe it's the same country. Oh, this would be our Church of Woodica. Dear Woodens. Probably the first thing we burned during the Revolution.